Under the Mobil Serv offer, this video is a piece of the on-the-job training curriculum for shovel lubrication inspection. The goal is to enable you to convert customer needs and opportunities around these activities into improvements in safety, environmental impacts, and productivity. This video is the first part of the OJT curriculum. After viewing it, you should job shadow a competent person completing a shovel inspection. Then have the competent person observe and coach you as you complete an inspection. The OJT Participants Guide provides an effective way to guide the trainer and trainee through the experiences to gain knowledge and capability. Roger, a field engineer, has been working with this existing customer on a number of mobile plant engineering service projects. Josh has contacted the plant, tells Roger that he'd like them to focus on some specific areas of their agreed PES objectives. Both Josh and Roger believe that a shovel lubrication inspection can aid in understanding the root cause of some problems Josh has seen. These issues include short bushing life, poor lubricant film on some of the open gearing, and excessive lubricant usage, which has also led to some trip hazard safety concerns. Roger works with Josh to understand the impacts of any lubrication problems so he can later use this information to show how his findings and recommendations can reduce these impacts and produce value for the customer. For some customers, Roger performs routine shovel lubrication inspections to proactively look for improvement opportunities or to detect abnormal operating conditions. To help bring solutions and value to his customer, Roger must be an excellent detective and must collect the data needed to help determine the root cause of any lubrication problems. Before meeting Josh again for the inspection, Roger gathered background information: lubricant consumption, downtime cost, reliability history, and service and repair history, including costs. Just before his site visit, Roger goes over his safety preparations, like customer site-specific training. Many locations have, at minimum, a visitor orientation video. He also reads through the Job Safety Analysis, or JSA, to review the risks and determine the best mitigation steps, including personal protective equipment, PPE. In addition, Roger refreshes himself on the life-saving rules and how they apply to the activity he has planned on the shovel, especially with locking out energy sources, safety working from heights, and ensuring that he has a clear line of sight of hazards and that others can see him. He also prepares and reviews his toolkit, including clipboard or tablet PC or iPad with the Mobil Serv shovel inspection data collection app, infrared temperature gun, flashlight, sample thief, bottles and labels, rags, digital camera, crescent wrench and screwdrivers, and electrical black tape. On the morning of the site visit, Roger and Josh first review their goals for the visit. Roger goes over his safety plan, and together they review the personal protective equipment they'll need: hard hat, safety glasses, hearing protection, cut-resistant gloves, safety shoes, and flame-resistant overalls with reflective stripes. Not all sites require flame-resistant clothing, but you always should have high-visibility clothing. As Roger drives out to the shovel site, he goes through an additional safety assessment, identifying hazards and planning any necessary mitigating steps. Roger will keep his head in the safety mode during the entire inspection. Beyond concern for his own safety, Roger also actively cares for others, so nobody gets hurt. Immediately on entering the shovel, he puts his personal lock on the motor control station. Roger will follow the Shovel Information Survey form as his guide through the inspection. In this case, Roger is inspecting a CAT 7495 mechanical rope shovel. Other types of shovels may have other components to inspect, for instance, hydraulic systems. Here he checks and records the lube timer's cycle times. He wants to ensure it has the right settings. Moving on to the lube storage room, Roger checks lubricant pressure and levels. Roger next looks at the control panel for the lube system that pumps fresh lubricant to different injectors throughout the shovel.
After I press the button, then the pump should be stroking at about 1 stroke per second right now. And we're shooting for about 2,500 to 3,000 psi in the house.
Just outside the lube storage room, Roger inspects the intakes to the lube reservoirs for contamination control. Hoses from the lube truck attach here to fill reservoirs. Roger notices one dust cap is off and dirty. Now, Roger heads up the boom, keeping his hands free to hold on to the handrails. Following his shovel survey form, he's going to inspect the boom point sheave bearings. He wants to ensure that there is enough grease seal to keep contaminants out. On the way down, he checks and documents the dipper stick cylinder, looking for a good film of grease. He also checks these grease injectors that lubricate the hoist rope guide rollers. Next, Roger climbs up on the rotating frame gantry to look at bushings. He notices more lubricant here than is needed. It's piling up. This has created a safety trip hazard that needs correcting. Roger's next stop is to inspect the trip motor and drive for the bucket door. He wants to see enough of a grease seal without excessive leaking. He also checks the feed lines, seeing that they're not broken or leaking. Here, Roger uses his UV light to show lubricant on this open driven gear. This uses OGL, open gear lubricant. The shovel bushings also use MPG, multi-purpose grease. Here he checks the OGL injectors to the hoist pinion or driving gear, which he can access through this hatch to inspect the gear teeth. That hoist drum is driven by a big gear that Roger now inspects. He uses UV light to check supporting bearings for the driven gear, making sure there is a good grease seal. Back outside and on the ground, Roger checks the drive carriage propel. He notices that these grease hoses are too tight and could result in an eventual hose failure, which could starve the carriage bushings of lubricant. He will recommend resizing the hoses so they will not rub. Here he inspects lower roller pins and bushings. He wants to make sure that they have lubricant in the crawler. Roger climbs up a ladder to check and document the swing gear. The lube atomizer sprays onto the driven gear of the swing. He needs to make sure that the nozzle does not get blocked up and that the gear teeth have a good coat of lubricant. In addition, he checks to make sure that grease lines are not broken or leaking and that there is not excessive grease coming down. His inspection complete, Roger inputs final data from his shovel information survey form. Later, he will combine this with his photos and other data to prepare an engineering service report for his client. Roger can also use the shovel inspection form on his iPad using the Mobil Serv shovel inspection data collection app. After his shovel inspection, Roger meets again with Josh to explain his preliminary findings. He must take in all the facts and sequence of events to determine potential root causes of any problems he finds. He must work with his customer in cooperation, not only to gather the information, but to form the recommendations that will produce the best value. Roger will supplement his findings with a Mobil Serv lubricant analysis for those oil applications that have oil analysis data. Then he will correlate these with inspections of the components involved. In this way, Roger will address root causes of the less than desirable reliability that concerns Josh. He will formulate his insights and recommendations in an engineering service report for Josh and his supervisors. This will include a total cost of ownership justification. Roger can demonstrate that his findings and recommendations produce an excellent return on investment and value to his customer. Roger and his sales advisor will use this report to promote our value to other key contacts at this customer. If very well received, this engineering service report could become the foundation of a proof of performance from this customer that could be used to show other customers to convince them that ExxonMobil and its distributors are the right lubricant supplier for them. In addition to helping this customer in this one application, Roger will look to see how he can help the customer apply what they have learned to other similar machines at this facility or across their entire company. By using the standard operating procedure as a guide, as well as the other tools described, Roger can consistently conduct these studies and deliver outstanding value to his customer.